Very good afternoon to all of you. So, drivers of ancillary services in India. Many speakers they have already gave their experience. So, little bit I will consider here regarding the distributed energy resources and how they will be supporting ancillary services. In this presentation, I will little bit discuss regarding the introduction about ancillary services, then ancillary services provisions from DERs, distributed energy resources, and then scope to promote ancillary services in India, and then I will conclude my presentation. So what is this distributed energy resources? Actually they are previously distribution network. They were acting like a passive network because only one end we feed it and another end we evacuate power. But nowadays the concept of distributed energy resources came, which makes the distribution network active by actively participation from the consumer side as well as from the generator side, or any party can participate in that. So we will see in this introduction already many personalities they have discussed all these things. Previously our energy sector, it was acting like a vertically integrated sector, generation, transmission and distribution. Gradually they were unbundled. Then again competition introduced in the generation side and distribution side, but still the transmission is in monopoly. Now this is the unbundled structure. With this unbundled structure, there are two models in this unbundled structure. One is ISO model and other one is TSO model. ISO model is independent system operator model and another was transmission system operator model. Like in India we have transmission system operator model because the transmission system operator is acting as an independent system operator. But some countries they are adopting ISO model, in that there is an independent entity that acts as the ISO, a system operator, and that doesn't participate in any other business. Whereas in those models, transmission operators they can participate in the market also. But here in this scenario, in case of India, we have transmission system operator model. So transmission system operator they cannot participate in any other business, only they will act as independent operator. What is an ancillary services? The literal meaning of the ancillary word ancillary is the providing support or help. To whom it will support? It will support to the network, transmission network. Generally the system operator, it procures ancillary services and it ensures security, reliability and quality of the supply to the consumer. Ancillary services can be provided by generators, load serving entities as well as the transmission operators if it is an independent system operator model, ISO model. In case of transmission system operator model, transmission operators they cannot participate in ancillary services market. Ancillary services they are classified, procured and remunerated depending upon the operational practices of the electricity supply industry. Wherever we are going to design it, based on the operational aspects of that electricity supply industry, we can procure and remunerate it. So broadly we can classify the ancillary services into three categories. One is frequency control ancillary services, network control ancillary services and system restart ancillary services. Again, frequency control ancillary services they can be classified into three categories: primary frequency control, secondary frequency control and tertiary frequency control based on their response time. And again in the network control ancillary services we have voltage control ancillary services and power flow control ancillary services. Voltage control ancillary services they are again classified into three types: primary, secondary and tertiary. And power flow control ancillary services, they are the ancillary services provided to maintain different parameters of the transmission network within the limit. Like your power flow limit, this should not exceed the limit of the transmission line. So what is the frequency control ancillary services? This is certain amount of active power that are called frequency control region, and it is kept available to perform this task. There are three levels of control. One is primary frequency control, secondary and tertiary control. Primary frequency control, it requires a response period of 5 to 10 seconds. It is also known as frequency regulation service in some countries. And your secondary control, it has a response period of 10 seconds to 15 minutes, and tertiary frequency control, it requires a response period of 10 to 30 minutes. In case of India, we can see we have the frequency regulation service as well as tertiary control through UI mechanism. Frequency control reserves required to perform above control tasks can be of that can be positive frequency control and also negative frequency control. Like when the frequencies goes down, we are providing some active power to the network in order to maintain the balance between demand and generation. So that is the positive frequency control. And when our frequency is going off, at that time we are curtailing some demand or we are reducing our generation. That is known as negative frequency control. The network control ancillary services, they are classified as voltage control and power flow control ancillary services. And these power flow control ancillary services needed for the purpose of improving ATC as well as to the real-time operation considering the network constraints like the power flow constraints and the available transfer capability. Then comes your system restart ancillary services. These are the services related to backup capability of the system and the capacity that is required to return the system to a normal operation after major or partial blackout. And what are the technologies what we adopt or can be used to provide the ancillary services? So to provide frequency control ancillary services, these are the technologies: governors, generator governors, AGC, rapid unit loading, rapid unit unloading, and demand side management also used. Then distributed energy resources. Then for network control ancillary services also, we can use generators, capacitors, inductors. Those are to use to maintain the voltages, and synchronous condensers, then fax controllers, distributed energy resources. Then for system restart ancillary services, generators and distributed energy resources. So distributed energy resources are very important in providing ancillary services. Then third part is procurement of ancillary services. How we can procure ancillary service. One is compulsory provision and second one is market-based provision. In compulsory provision, it is a part of connecting condition, a fixed amount of ancillary services provided by the participant itself. When it is connecting to the network, it has a fixed amount that he has to provide. And the consequences are volume of the service provided may exceed what is actually needed. And second is potential low cost providers are treated on the same basis as more expensive ones. These are the disadvantages, you can say, of the compulsory provision. Then market-based provision, it can be of bilateral contracts. This form of procurement lacks transparency, this bilateral contract, and this type of negotiation can be long-term, complex and costly. Because of high transaction cost of the contracts, price and volume often remain fixed for a long time. So both tendering process and creation of a spot market enhances the transparency and it fosters competition. That is very important. If we can design a market which is on a real-time basis, that is based on the tendering process, then it will have a transparency. Then how the remuneration we can have towards the ancillary services. So the structure of remuneration. The remuneration structure, it consists of three costs. One is availability cost, second is utilization cost, third is opportunity cost. Availability cost is it depends upon the availability of the particular participant to provide the ancillary services, particular ancillary services. That is the availability cost. And these are decided by the regulators, these costs. And then utilization cost, it consists of two parts. One is fixed cost and variable cost. Then opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the loss of the profit when it is providing a certain kind of ancillary service instead of providing or participating in the main service. That is the opportunity cost. Then what are the methods to remunerate the ancillary services? There are three methods. One is regulated price base, that is very much controlled by the regulators, and second one is pay as bid price, then third one is common clearing price. It is cleared through the spot market like your power exchange. These are the ancillary services, various kinds of ancillary services, and remuneration category types. So now I will see the renewable energy sources, how it is integrated into distribution system and how it is capable of providing ancillary services. So here you can see the generators, they're connected with a system operator. Then the distribution networks. The distribution networks, they consist of loads and the renewable energy sources. Right? So renewable energy sources are very important in providing different kinds of ancillary services. So how to plan this ancillary services may not be visible, little small. So how to plan this ancillary services from distribution energy resources, DERs, distributed energy resources. So first we have to identify the existing transmission level ancillary services. Then identifying the new distribution level ancillary services. Then we have to review the capability of each DG technology to provide the identified ancillary services. Then review the existing technical, regulatory and commercial frameworks to determine if and to what extent they accommodate participation of distributed generators in the ancillary service provision. Then estimate financial benefit of the DG providing each service in the context of current rules. What are the prevailing rules? Then identify required technical, commercial and regulatory changes to enhance the distributed generation participation in ancillary services provision. Then estimate the financial benefit of enhancing provision of selected ancillary service by the distributed generation. Then identify and cost infrastructure required to enable DG to provide portfolio of ancillary services. Then perform cost benefit analysis. It is very important. Cost benefit analysis and select services from the DG can potentially provide with profit. Right? So cost benefit analysis is very important because if somebody is providing ancillary service, if he is benefited or not, that is very important. Then identify ancillary services that can be provided on market basis and those that might be mandatory. As already we have discussed. Develop alternative market model for distribution level ancillary services. Examine the interaction between energy market and ancillary market, including penalties for non-delivery in both the markets. So those are not going to deliver the ancillary services. Those are already scheduled but they are unable to provide. They must be penalized for that. Then design model, contract, structure for the ancillary service, carry out the cost benefit analysis at alternative market models and enhance the ancillary service provision by the distributed generation. So this is a flow diagram which indicates the how the distributed energy resources can participate in ancillary service program. There is a summary of some renewable technologies that are capable of providing ancillary services. You can see here the wind turbines, biomass and landfill gas, solar PV, hydro. They can also provide frequency control ancillary services, reserves, as well as the reactive power support. Reactive power support is the voltage control ancillary services, the network support, and black start. Black start, biomass, landfill gas, and your hydro. They can provide the black start capacity. These are some of the non-conventional type of distributed generators. They can also be used as the ancillary service provision. So they are the combined cycle gas turbine, large combined heat power generation, and micro CHP, then diesel generators. They can participate. So we'll do some economic analysis on distributed energy resources, distributed generators. So this is cost of electricity generation, that consists of three components. One is the capital cost, operating and maintenance cost, fuel cost. These are already known things. And when we see the comparison here, it is comparison of a renewable energy technology with the non-conventional type of energy technology. Here we can see the capital cost for wind and the solar. They are though very high, the investment cost, but the O&M and the fuel cost is negligible or zero, and operation and maintenance cost is little bit. So it will go ahead. If we do optimal economic dispatch on this conventional and non-conventional type of generating technology, then we will see that the non-conventional type or renewable type of energy sources, they will be coming in the first merit order. So how it is, this example will show you. The optimal economic dispatch, it is the aim is to dispatch the generation which minimizes the cost. That is the objective. So here two generating plants are considered. One is plant A, plant B. And plant A is the nuclear plant and plant B is the coal-based thermal plant. So obviously in case of coal-based thermal plant, the nuclear plant has a low operating cost and low fuel cost. So its Ka dash is less than Kb dash. So the minimum cost C min, it occurs when the plant A is the nuclear plant that takes as much of the load share as possible. That is, it is loaded to its maximum level. Okay, then only we can go for the plant B, that is the coal-based thermal plant. Okay, so similarly, if we have n plants available, we can arrange in the merit order starting from the top of the list, which has a increasing K dash value, that represents the variable cost. The units with low operating cost run preferentially and therefore attract high load factors. They generate a disproportionate large share of electricity relative to their capacity, and they are called the base load plants. So base load plants, they are always loaded first. Then we will go for the middle merit plants. Then we will go for the peaking plants. Peaking plants are those who have the high variable cost. So they are loaded later on. So the total cost generated energy by power station, for example, a nuclear power station, may be higher than that from the coal-fired one. So the optimal economic dispatch requires that the nuclear station is fully loaded because it has very low incremental cost. So this is the rationale. So it may be concluded that the energy supplied by the renewable energy source is characterized almost entirely by a capital cost. It has less variable cost or negligible variable cost except the biomass plants. So therefore, if we apply the OED method, then that would require them to provide at all times all the energy they are capable of delivering. So renewable energy sources, this would be dispersed always. Whatever capacity they have, this would be always dispersed. So this is the theory of optimal economic dispersion. Then scope to promote ancillary services in India. Already we know the structure of Indian power system. We have 5 regional grids. These are the states belonging to the grids. So the operational structure of Indian electricity system is like this. The RLDC acts as the regional system operator. To RLDC, the availability and the dispatch schedule are given. Then from the SLDCs they give the forecasted load demand. Then the RLDC prepares the dispatch schedule and trial schedule and sends to the central generating stations, the ISCs, PAs and the SLDCs. Then on a day ahead basis, and the traders are there, they are also in communication with RLDC in order to schedule their trading volume. Then comes the power exchange. Power exchange also in contact with the NLDC so that it gives its the trading volume and it should be dispatched on real-time basis. So the frequency regulation service we are talking about is primary frequency control which is provided by the governor action of a generator or automatic regulation of frequency sensitive load is also known as the frequency regulation service. It is provided through governor action or the automatic sensitive loads. With the transition from vertically integrated utilities to unbundled one, frequency regulation it became now service rather obligation. Previously it was an obligation. It was an obligation provided by the generators. So in India this service is being provided by generators under free governor mode of operation. That is known as FGMO. And it is complied with certain guidelines by the CES. This is frequency control ancillary service from generators. You can see here. This loop is the primary control frequency ancillary service, the below one, and the above one is secondary control loop, which is controlled through the UI mechanism. And the first part is the primary control, that is through the governor action of the generators. This is one kind of frequency control ancillary service from automatic sensitive loads from the load serving entities. So then how we can exploit these renewable energy sources? Already we have discussed a lot, so we have less time. So now I will go forward. So one work we did on this integrated planning of the renewable energy sources that considers the 4 criteria: technical, economical, environmental and resource availability. These are the 4 criteria. And under the technical attribute, these are the sub-attributes we have considered: efficiency, power generation, capacity factor, lifetime, installation lead time, startup time, and maintenance, carbon footprint. And economical, investment cost, operational cost, all these sub-attributes have been considered. And for environmental, we have considered the polluting gases and the noise. And the resource availability we have considered where in the 5 regions where the resources are available more. So based on these 4 criteria, using the analytical hierarchical process, we have found for eastern region, in case of India, the gas turbine is the suitable distributed energy resources. Then comes your wind turbine generating technology. Similarly for western region also, these are based on all the 4 criteria we have considered. Similarly for northern region and southern region, the southern region it has been found wind is the most suitable, then your gas turbine, then your solar and then gas turbine. Then for northeastern also has been found. These are the results. So with this I can conclude that the Indian power sector now it has one ancillary service that is with the free governor mode of operation, that is the sole mechanism that provides ancillary services, but it has no rules and regulations. So it is integrated with the main service. And DES, distributed energy resources, are important resources for various kinds of ancillary services. And design of market mechanism with proper policy framework for provision of ancillary services can be done for Indian power sector. Then EOI may play a very important vital role in provision of ancillary services. Thank you very much.